When you get a new inquiry, what has happened before that? Can you guys hear me in the back? Good? All right. Are you responding quickly? Are you keeping it conversational? Are you keeping it short? You're making it personal. And yet, you're still not replying. How many of you has that happened? Right? You think you're doing everything right? Doug was giving you a lot of stuff that you're going to hear confirmation from me today. But you're also going to hear some things that are a little bit different. Because you can be doing all these things right and still be getting ghosted. And what worked last year may not be working now. How many of you are in business less than 5 years? All right. You don't have real good comps. You don't have anything to compare to. Because last year you can't compare to this year. The year before, you can't compare. Let's just forget about the year before that, 2020. 2019 was a really good year for a lot of people in the wedding and event industry, which means your comp is 2018. But if you haven't been in business since 2018, then you don't have anything to compare it to. What worked before may not work now. Doug's in the business 30 years, I'm in the business 30 years. About every few years, we have to change what we're doing. What used to work may not work now. It's not them, it's us. They're going to change. They're always going to change. When I started in this industry, selling wedding advertising, driving around, knocking on doors like yours, I still had a beeper. Some of you are like, what's a beeper? I had a phone in my car. In my car. Not my pocket, in my car. And you didn't want to make calls from it because it's too expensive, so you stopped at a payphone, which you can't find a payphone anymore, right? So I had to adapt. I had to adapt to email. I had to adapt to texting. I had to adapt to Facebook Messenger, Instagram Messenger, WhatsApp, all these different ways to communicate. It's not them. It's me that has to adapt. I'm going to give you 4 common reasons why you're getting ghosted. My book outlines 9. I think I consolidated it into 4 over here for you. Make it a little bit easier. Number 1 is, if you gave them what they think they need, they don't feel they need to respond to you. Doug made a good point. They ask how much you charge because they don't know what else to ask. When they ask what are your prices, especially on the knot and wedding wire, as you heard, I have a little bit of experience with the knot, having been vice president of sales. I do consult to the knot and wedding wire on sites like them around the world. I see things you can't see on the back end. I can tell you that whether it's the knot or wedding wire or a local wedding website or whatever it is, you can be getting better responses if you do some of the things I'm going to teach you today. And I can tell you that because people have told me that when they've changed what they're doing, all of a sudden they get a better response. What works for an inquiry from your website may not be the same thing that works through the knot wedding wire. One size does not fit all. So what do I mean by you gave them what they think they need? Well, when you're shopping for something you've never bought before, don't you ask how much? Because you don't know what else to ask. We've all done it. If you really think back, you've done it, I've done it, because at some point there's money involved. Right, Corey, I have to give him some money, so let me just ask him how much it is. But that's a really bad question. Like if Ron was looking to get a new lens for his Canon camera, right? The most important check boxes that are non-negotiable are, it's Canon, it's going to fit a Canon lens, right? It's a Canon lens, it's going to be an EF, it's going to be whatever focal length he wants or whatever, right? All those things. Those are non-negotiable. Then price matters. And for everybody buying anything, there are non-negotiable things until price will matter. Like if I said to Ron, I have this great lens. It's exactly what you're looking for. It's a Nikon lens. And he goes, well, that won't fit my camera. Yeah, but it's all the other check boxes. Doesn't matter, right? The problem is when you're shopping for things you've never bought before, you don't know what those boxes are until you start having conversations with people. And then you'll, oh yeah, I need that. Right, I need that. So then they ask the next one of you. Because we have to ask somebody else because we have nothing to compare it to. It's called framing. If you're going to buy a new laptop, and you have a laptop, you use buying the last laptop as framing for buying this laptop. When you buy your new car or your new truck, you bought cars and trucks before, you use that as framing. What if you have none? You have nothing to compare it to. You start looking to external sources, surveys of what the average cost is going to be. Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest. Don't you wish they had price tags in the corner of those pictures? Wouldn't that be great if they looked at that Instagram picture and it said, that's a $200,000 wedding, or that's a $6,000 centerpiece, right? And they understand that their entire floral budget is that centerpiece, right? But see, they don't know. And they don't know when they go to your website and you have pictures of gorgeous weddings with no prices. They don't know what you charge. And they ask you how much because they think that's what they need to know. So if you respond like this, we've done a lot of secret shopping. My podcast that dropped today is about my experience of secret shopping. I spoke at Wedding MBA last week. Secret shopped over 200 companies. We get responses like this. Congratulations on your recent engagement. I will stop right there. Don't say that. And the reason I say don't say that is when you see your email, and only your email, that is very polite. When I see that we inquired with a whole bunch of different businesses in the same market, and 80% of them came back with congratulations on your recent engagement, now it's a throwaway line. So I say don't say it at all. And I would say to Doug, you're not the first thing they're shopping for. Now if you're a venue, the first thing, maybe they just got engaged. But they're no longer recently engaged when they're shopping for their DJ or their flowers or other things that are down the line, right? You don't need that line, okay? Thanks for reaching out about having your wedding here. I've attached the pricing and packages. I think you said that, Marilee. Once you give them the pricing and packages, now you get crickets. There's a bunch of reasons for that. I'm going to get into that. This one, here's also a video. Again, you think they want a video. They have looked at your videos, looked at your pictures, read your reviews, read the text before they reached out. Before you get an inquiry, they have, what is Tinder? Swipe left is the bad one? Nobody ever wants to admit knowing that. It's left, thank you. Okay. And right is good, and wasn't up is like really good or something like that. And so, like, anyway. But think about this. How many people in your market, in your category, do something that's similar to what you do? I said similar, I did not say the same. On the Eastern Shore of Maryland, there's a couple other venues, right? Like a couple of dozen other venues. And then within 50 miles, there's 100 venues. By the time you get that inquiry, and you're in that small group of 3 or 5 or 7 that are getting this inquiry, think about all the others that are not getting this. Think about the 100 that are not, the 50 that are not, the dozens that are not, that don't even know this couple exists. The only reason they reached out is they liked what they saw, read, heard, watched, personally experienced. If they've seen you at a wedding, that's way up there. But they've been to another wedding that had a pretty good DJ also, so now they're like, okay, I like too. They might reach out to both of you. Not a slam dunk if they've experienced you personally, because let's face it, there's a lot of people in this room that do a really good job. That would be all of you. That's why you're here. And there's a lot of people that are not here that do a good job also, and they might be comparing you to them. So you don't have a monopoly on good reviews, great photos, great videos, etc. But you don't need to send them to Vimeo, to Facebook, to Pinterest, to Instagram, once they've already reached out to you. If you were on the phone with them, I wrote a book called Why Don't They Call Me, right? Back in the day, some of us remember that, right? They actually would call you. But you get calls sometimes, right? You get mothers and brides and grooms calling you? Probably more often than the couples, right? There was this DJ in South Carolina, did not have a phone number on his website. I didn't know if he knew it, because I've actually had people that didn't realize they didn't have a phone number because you aren't looking for your own phone number. So he didn't have a phone number, and I said, how come? He said, well, they don't want to call me anyway. I said, how would you know? You don't have a phone number on your website. How would you know that nobody wants to call you? So I said, put the phone number. He said, I'm just going to get spam calls. I said, you are. You are. Your auto warranty is up and whatever else that they're calling about these days, right? But you never know. So 2 months goes by, he gets mostly spam phone calls and 2 mothers or brides who may or may not have reached out through the interweb because they don't use that. They use the phone, okay? So, you want them to reply now, right? You know you need to reply as quickly as possible, and you want them to reply right away as well. But you gave them things to do, things to read, places to go. You sent them to YouTube, you sent them to Vimeo, you sent them to Facebook, to Instagram, to TikTok, where every one of your competitors is, and you're wondering why they didn't reply to you. You sent them a brochure, and now they think they need to read it because you sent it to them. Have you opened your brochure on your phone? You know, sure it opens, it's a PDF, 8.5 by 11. You ever go to a restaurant these days and there's a QR code for the menus, and it opens and it's an 11 by 17 page that they just sent you the PDF of, and you're sitting there pinching to try to see what the appetizer is? Is that a good user experience? Have you looked at your own brochure that you are sending to them, the price list that you're sending to them? Have you looked at the things that you're sending to them on your phone? Because that's what they're doing. We shopped this one company and they sent us a link to a Google Drive to see photos. The Google Drive was full of folders of photos. Hundreds of photos. And they're wondering why people aren't getting back to them. Because we get decision fatigue. We look at a photo, oh beautiful, a photo, oh beautiful, a photo, oh beautiful. How many beautiful photos do I need to see? But what do you want them to do once they've looked at those photos? Get back to you. But they already reached out to you. If somebody called you, would you say, hey, thanks for calling. Give me your email address. I'm going to send you something right now. Okay. And you send them a link and your brochure and the other stuff and say, after you read all that, call me back. Would you do that? It's exactly what you're doing in an email when you say, here's my YouTube, here's my Instagram, here's my TikTok, here's my brochure, here's my price list, here are my videos, here are my reviews. When they've already reached out to you, they've already reached out to you, which means you're in the game. Just have a conversation and tell them why they should choose you. Not what you do. They need what you do. That's why my new book is called Stop Selling and Help Them Buy. They need what you do or they wouldn't have reached out. But they really don't need what you do. They need the results that only you can provide to them. If you write nothing else down, write that down. They don't want your products and services. They want the results of your products and services that only you can provide. Because let's face it, I can buy any piece of equipment you can buy. I have credit. But my results will be different than yours. If I buy a camera, my video is going to be different than yours. If I buy DJ equipment, the output's going to be different than yours. If I buy an oven, my output's going to be burnt. You don't want me buying an oven. My favorite thing to make for dinner is reservation. I'm really good at that. I'm also married 40 years. I'm really good at making reservations. And apparently when I walk out onto my patio, I can cook on fire. I can't cook inside the house. But apparently at that barbecue, I learned immediately how to make things. Number 2, I know that you want to call her a meeting right away. I know it would be easier for you if they would just have this call or meeting right away. If they wanted a call or meeting right away, they would ask for a call or meeting right away. It's a high commitment to go from, I filled out your contact form, to get on the phone with me. Now I know it's easier for you, and I know that eventually you will get them on the phone with the meeting, but if you're getting ghosted, and the first thing you're asking for is a tour, a call, or a meeting, that is one of the biggest reasons why you're getting ghosted. Here's one of the real examples we had. Like very much first of all, I start with the word I. Who is this about? Them. I very much like to speak with you about your plans so far, as well as to tell you about this catering company, our services, our menus, and our pricing. Do you have time for a brief 15-minute phone call, perhaps tomorrow in the early afternoon or Friday in the late morning? I like the choice of 2, just like in Doug's example he said. I have Tuesday or Wednesday at 2 o'clock, which is better for you. That's a choice of 2. Always give them a choice of 2. Let them suggest the third time if it's not. For any decision, whether it's which package to do, whether it's which day to meet or whatever. By the way, this works with your friends and family. When you guys go to dinner tonight, and you look at the person next to you and say, what do you feel like having? They say, I don't know what do you feel like having. No, you tell me what you feel like having. No, I didn't tell me. You ever have that conversation? Yeah, 40 minutes later you haven't eaten, right? So instead say, would you like to have Italian or sushi? And they can say, I kind of feel like Mexican. Great, let's go. It works. My wife said to my son and I one night, pick out a movie on Netflix. Pick out a movie on a site that has hundreds of thousands of movies, or however many they have. That was the direction. I was like, really? That's what you give us? Pick a movie. Right? 40 minutes later, two idiots are sitting there. She went in, she showered, she comes out, she said, what are we watching? We go, we don't know. Next time she did that, you can borrow this if you'd like. I said, stop. I need an actress, an actor, I need a genre, I need a decade, I need something to narrow this down. And we decided a movie that won the Best Movie Oscar in the 80s that we have never seen. So that's no more than 10 movies, right? And we have to never have seen it. And it turned out we never saw Moonstruck. We only saw the scene where Cher slaps Nicolas Cage and says, snap out of it. We saw it like highlight reels, like, did we ever see the whole movie? No, never saw the whole movie. Now we've seen the whole movie. So you can borrow that. It will get you to Netflix, a lot faster than this. So, are you available to come in for a tour sometime this week or next? If that's what you're saying to them, and they don't answer you, it's because they don't want a tour yet. You will be able to ask for the tour. You will be able to ask for the phone call, for the Zoom. Just don't do it right away. If somebody called you, would you say, hey, thanks for calling, when do you want to come in? No, you'd have a little conversation, a little bit of, a little back and forth, right? You want to do the same thing in email. It's no different because it's through our fingertips. That's why this book was called Why Don't They Call Me? Because I used to hear this from you guys all the time. It would be so much easier if they would just call me. Yeah, it would. It would. But if they don't want to get on the phone, they're just going to keep ghosting you. High commitment. Phone call, Zoom call. Don't ask their budget, by the way. Right? They're going to lie. They're not liars. But have you ever held back a little bit? Yeah. And according to the knot, over 50% of couples go over their budget. And when they go over by 30 to 50%. What do they say down south? Less